day to you all. This is Creative Works by Annie, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working on part 2, which is the border rounds. Part 1, we created just the skeleton part. Now, if you find that you don't really need help on the skeleton, too much of the skeleton or the border rounds, and you just have a couple little questions like on the spine or a couple other little tricky spots, I do have a short video of my top 3 most asked questions, okay? So that way, if you don't need the tutorial or you don't want to crochet along with me, please feel free to head over there and check that out to see if any of your questions are in that little tutorial tip thing. But today we're going to be working on the border. We started this one in part 1. The link will be down below. And I also created a playlist for that. So the tips will be in there, part 1 will be in there, and then when I publish part 2 will also be in there. So that way it'll be nice and handy for you. Okay? So I'm first off going to tell you and encourage you to go and buy the pattern if you haven't already. And if you printed it out and you're sitting here crocheting with me, that is absolutely wonderful. I appreciate that. So if you are liking any of my videos, make sure that you like and subscribe, and I would really enjoy that. That way you can always find more of my work and more my crochet alongs and stuff like that. So, okay. Now, all my patterns are very wordy because I'm long-winded, and I like to write everything out. So, remember MapQuest, how everything was written out? Yeah, I'm that generation. So I think it's stuck. So if you ever notice my patterns, though, I always have things in blue and red, extra tips, notes and stuff like that. And I also have wonderful large photos. Okay? So you might be noticing that I have this little cheat sheet type thing down on the side. This right here represents 2 pages of notes. I have made close to or around 185 of the postmortem doilies by now, so I kind of streamlined things just a tad. And so if you would like to copy these notes, please write those down while I am explaining what they are. Now, this is how many 2DC you do in a chain space in a set. So this is going to be 2DC in each of the next 4 chain spaces. This one represents a skipped chain space, and then that's one set of 2DC in that chain space, another skipped chain space, 2DC in the next 2 chain spaces, and then since this is a corner, because these types of caskets have 6 corners, not 4 like the modern day ones. So this is one of the corners. And by the way, in each corner there are going to be 5 double crochets, except for this first corner, which there's going to be the beginning chain, 2 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets when you wrap up the row. Okay? So this is the only different corner, and I'll explain that when I get to this part on the way back. Okay? Because we follow the list down and we follow the list up. So this is 2DC in the next 2 chain spaces, skip a chain space, 5 sets of 2DC in the next 5 chain spaces, skip chain space, 2DC in the next 4 chain spaces, skip chain space, 2DC in the next 2 chain spaces, skip a chain, so on and so forth, okay? and you're like, oh, well, what, that's, this right here is just this side, okay? And then I will tell you about this side. I already tucked in my tail, okay? And then when we go, we do our 5 here, and then we work this row all the way back this way, okay? And then we put 5 in the corner, and we work over here, okay? So I'll explain why we don't do 4 on this side when we get there. But this is just a good starting point, and it will get you past these 2 pages because I am very wordy. Okay, so otherwise you don't have to do that, or you can just jot it down now and put it on your pattern, and one day if you make this pattern a lot, you might be like, that really helps, that little cheat sheet right there. Okay, so once again, I'm using Aunt Linda's size 10 cotton crochet thread, and I'm using a size 6, relatively about a 1.7 millimeter hook. You need to use any hook that you feel comfortable with, working with the type of thread or yarn that you are creating this in. And yeah, so I'm gonna go and grab a little, I'm gonna make myself some tea real quick because my throat's drying out already, just from talking and yakking. And I will be back to start this with you. Okay, did you grab your wonderful cup of coffee or tea? I did find about 1 cup's worth of coffee in my coffee pot still that I forgot about. So let's get started. Now, when we finished our skeleton, we ended that with a chain 3. Okay, and now we're going to be working 4 sets of 2 DC, okay, across 4 chain spaces. Now, even though some of these are going to be double crochets and some are going to be chain spaces, I'm just going to refer to all of these as chain spaces, okay? And then these ones right here are going to be called stitches because we're going to be working front post DC around those. So let's get started. So 1, 2. Remember when I said, oh, those ugly spots, if you don't do them quite correctly and stuff like that, and they look kind of ugly? I told you we're going to hide that because now we're going to put that front post DC around there, and it hides it rather nicely. Okay, so we do another 2 DC in the next chain space, and a front post stitch, another 2 DC in that one, and a front post, and 2 more DC in that one, and a front post. Okay, according to our little cheat sheet, we need to skip a chain space. I know I've zoomed in, so I'm going to try to get maybe this right here. Okay, trying to keep things centered for you. So it says skip chain space. So we're going to skip this, and we're going to front post stitch around the next one. And now we need to do a single DC, or a single set of 2 DC in the next one. 1, 2, and a front post. Now it says we need to skip another chain space and front post in the next stitch. Now we need to do 2 sets of 2 double crochets. So we go 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post. Now in the next chain space, we are going to be working 5 double crochets. Remember I told you that was we put 5 in each corner? Well, this is technically our second corner, because this is our first corner. So we do 5 double crochets in that chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do a front post around the next one. And now we're going to do 2 sets of 2 DC over the next 2 chain spaces, okay? So I hope I'm saying that right. 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, front post. And now it says to skip a chain space. So we're going to skip the chain space, and we work 5 sets of 2 across the next 5 chain spaces. So then we go 1, 2, front post. Oop, I didn't skip my chain. Let's go back and do that. Okay, now I can start my 5 sets of 2. 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, and front post. Got 4, I need 1 more. 1, 2, front post. Okay? Now this next section here, if you don't have the legs right, which I explained in, I believe, the previous or part 1, that this is really important to make sure your legs are numbered correctly. Now if they are not, this next section is going to be off. Okay, so just to warn you, so I hope you double check that when you are watching part 1. Okay, now after we did our 5, it says to skip a chain space and do 4 sets of 2 across the next 4 chain spaces. So we're going to skip. We're going to do 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, front post. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, when I say front post, it's a front post double crochet. Okay, I'm not sure I mentioned that, but it's a front post DC. 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, front post. Okay, now it says to skip a chain space and do 2 sets of 2. So we're going to skip, do 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, and it says skip a chain space. So we're going to skip a chain space and work a front post DC in the next one. Then we're going to do 2 sets of 2 DC over the next 2 chain spaces. So 1, 2, front post. 1, 2, and a front post. Okay, now on my little note cheat sheet, I did not write down across the bottom section here. You can see that I already tucked in my tail. You can see the little extra tail and a cat hair. And so if you want to add on to your notes this next section, or make a kind of a loop-de-loop type thing, where however you want to loop it to continue on to the cheat sheet, go right ahead, okay? But in every corner, once again, I will say that there's 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another front post DC around the next stitch there. Now we're going to work 2 double crochets in the next chain space. 1, 2, oop, my tail fell out. I'll just work over that when I get to it. Now I'm going to put another front post right on the stitch. And I'm going to put 6 double crochets in this long chain space right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to work a front post DC around this next stitch. Okay, I'm going to work 2 double crochets in this next chain space. 1, 2, and work a front post around this one. And now we're back in the corner, so we work 5 double crochets once more in the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am going to mention at this point, as you can see, I am a rather fast crocheter, and this is actually slowed down for me. So feel free to pause this at any time and catch up and stuff like that, okay? So now we're going to be working our way up our little cheat sheet, okay? So we're going to be starting at the 2 and working our way to the top, okay? So we're going to put a front post DC around the next stitch. We're going to be working 2 DC in each of the next 2 chain spaces. Okay, now our notes say to skip a chain space. So we're going to skip this chain space, and then it says to work 2 sets of 2. Okay, so 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post. Then it says to skip a chain space and work 4 sets of 2s. So we're going to skip this chain space, front post around the next stitch, start working 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, and front post. That should give us our 4 right there. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it says to skip another chain space and work 5 sets of 2. So we're going to skip this chain space and put a front post DC around the next stitch and do 5 sets of 2. 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post. It almost sounds like dancing. This should be our 5th one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after 5, it says to skip a chain space and do 2 sets of 2. So we're going to skip the chain space front post and 2 sets, 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, and front post. Now we are at one of those corners again, so we're going to work 5 double crochets in the next chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a front post. Now we're going to work 2 sets of 2. 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post. And it says to skip a chain space, so we're going to skip this chain space and front post in the next stitch. And it says to do 1 set of 2 in the next chain space. So 1, 2, front post. It says to skip a chain space, so we're going to skip this chain space, put a front post around the next stitch. Now here's where we differ. Our top number is a 4, but we only have 3 spaces left before the corner, okay? So we're going to work 3 sets of 2 and then work 5 DC in that corner. So 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, 1, 2, front post, and we're going to work 5 DC in that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to front post around the next stitch. We're going to work 6 double crochets in this chain space right here. So 1, 2, 3, come on, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to put a front post DC around the next stitch here. And to finish off the round, we're going to put 2 DC in this chain space right here. Okay? 1, 2, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the top of that beginning chain right here. So now we have 5 in that corner. We have 4 double crochets and the chain space, or the beginning chain space, or chain stitch, sorry, that turns into that 5th stitch right there. So now I'm going to change my page and let the fun begin. Okay. Okie dokie here. We are now going to work round 2. And I think I mentioned before that I do my border rounds slightly different. And so this is where I change it, which means all the numbers are going to be different from the pattern. But this also streamlines it and makes it easier. So, and it's the easiest way is to switch it right now on this round. Okay, so if you are working from the pattern, work from the pattern. The numbers work. It's absolutely perfect. It's been well tested, everything. It's just one of those things where if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it this way. Okay. So if you follow the pattern, It works. It really, really works. I've just streamlined it to make it a little easier. Okay. So if you have your pattern sitting next to you, grab a pen if it's printed out and just scribble the notes on there, change a couple numbers if you want to. Okay. But otherwise, if you don't have the pattern and you're just doing this as a crochet along with me, worry about it, okay? Don't worry about it. I'm also going to have pause screens because I'm a pretty fast crocheter, and that way you can pause on that screen. It will give you the numbers and the number counts of what the sides are going to be and stuff like that. And also that way it gives you a pause spot, so when you get done crocheting to whatever the next point is that I mentioned, you can then start up, maybe wait 1 or 2 seconds and get the next instructions, and then there'll be another pause screen. This way it'll kind of make it easier and stuff like that. So if you at any point need to stop crocheting for the day or whatnot, you can then write down that timestamp, or it should hopefully, I know YouTube's been kind of weird and it has restarted some of my videos when I play videos that I've already tried watching, or it'll say that I watched it all already. So write down your timestamps, and that way it's so much easier for you in the future. Hopefully YouTube will get things worked out. Okay? So now, okay here. Now I swapped doilies right here. Second, because I had to do another take and I don't want to, frankly, frog all that out. But I didn't like how the video was recording. So this one I also had started as my swap out just in case. It's always good to do that when you're making a video. So now I switched over to a vintage thread that kind of, it untwists a little bit, okay? So it's a little more to work with. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to skip what my pattern says, because it's with this thread, it's just going to be easier to do it the alternate way. Okay, now the original way I have written is you chain 1, you back post single crochet around the beginning stitch here, and then you chain 4 and you back post DC around that one. Okay, I'm just going to do it the alternative way because my thread does like to split. Okay, and then this will also help out people for that corner because it's a little awkward corner. Okay, so I am going to chain 5, and I'm going to put a back post double crochet around that beginning chain right there. Okay, now you're not going to get as nice and clean of a look, but it's a lot simpler if you want to do it that way. Okay, so now we are going to back post DC around each of the next 27 stitches, and this is where I alter and have kind of rewritten a little bit. It's one of those things where it's if I knew then what I knew now type situations, I would have done it this way. Okay, so if you want to change any notes, if you have the printed pattern, go right ahead because a lot of the numbers are going to be different. Okay, or you can just follow me, follow the screen, because at certain points I'm going to put up a little screen and it's going to tell you how many of this many stitches, how many of that many stitches, and stuff like that. And it will also give you a pause point. So that way on that screen you can hit the pause button on for YouTube and then crochet to that one point. And when you get to that point, just unpause it, and within a couple seconds I will be showing you the next section. Okay, and we will be doing that throughout the rest of the pattern. And that way also it makes the the video a little bit shorter to watch. And if you have to pause the video and step aside at any point to go get something else done or whatnot, and you have to shut down YouTube for the day, please write down your timestamp and put a note somewhere and keep it with your thread or wherever your piece is, so that way you don't lose your place. Okay? So here we go. We are going to work 27 back post DCs. Okay? So hit that pause button in just a second, and I will see you at the next point. Okay, now that we have worked our 27 back post DC, we are now going to chain. Oop, I didn't work 27, I only worked 26. Oop, I got one more to do. Okay, now that we worked our 27 back post DCs, we are going to chain 2, and we're going to back post DC around each of the next 2 stitches. Okay? And now we're going to skip this next stitch. Remember, I told you that I altered to make it a little easier. So we're going to skip this one, and then we're going to work 51 back post DCs. Okay? Around each of the next stitches. Okay, so we're going to work 51 right here. Okay? And I will see you when we get to this corner. Okie dokie, now that we just worked our 51 back post DCs, we are now going to work a back post V-stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to back post around what's going to be the 3rd stitch of that set of 5 stitches there. We're going to back post, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to back post DC around that same stitch we just made. Okay, now this is a little difficult, so you might have to twist and turn and everything else like that. Okay, yeah, I know, I hate my brain too. I ask myself why a lot of times. So now we are going to back post DC around the next 18 stitches. Okay? So I will meet you to the other side. Okay, we just finished crocheting our 18 back post right along here, and now it's time for another one of those pesky little back post V-stitches. So we are going to back post around the next stitch, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to back post around that same stitch. Okay, and now we're going to back post DC around each and every of the next 51 stitches. Okay, and I will meet you when we get to the next little corner piece. Okay, we are back again, and we just finished working our 51 back post DC. So now we are going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work 2 back post DCs around each of the next one. Okay, so we're going to skip a stitch, and then back post DC, and then back post DC. Okay, and that is to finish off this little section, the long section right here. Okay, now we are going to chain 2, and we are going to back post DC around each of the next 27 stitches. Okay, and I will meet you over when we get to this corner. Okay, we just got done working our last set of 27 back post DC right along the short side here, and now we're going to work the very last back post V-stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to DC or back post double crochet, chain 2, and then back post double crochet around that same stitch. Woohoo! Okay, now we are going to work a back post DC around each of the next 12 stitches. Okay, and I will meet you over here. Okay, now that we have just finished those 12 stitches, we're going to join with we're going to cheat here. We're going to join with a slip stitch right in the chain space. Okay, just right in the chain space. Okay, so we're cutting out the middleman and making it so much easier. Okay, because if we have to slip stitch into that chain space anyways, just skip it. Just slip and slide there right away. Okay, so now we are going to chain 1, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets. We are on round 3, by the way. So 2 half double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 more half double crochets. Okay. Oh, I hate this yarn that splits. Let me redo that half double crochet there. Oy. Oy caramba. 1, 2. Okay. Now we are going to back post DC around the next 27 stitches. Okay? And I will meet you when we get to this little corner. I'll see you there. Okay, we are now at this next little corner space here. And so we are going to work 2 half double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochets. Okay, and now we are going to work 54 back post DC along this edge. Okay, so 54 back post DC, and I will meet you in this corner. Okie dokie, we are now in this corner after working 54 back post DC. So now we're going to put a half double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more half double crochets. Okay. Now we are going to work 20 back post DC around each one of the next 20 stitches. Okay. And so then I will see you when we get to this other corner. Okay, now that we just completed our 20 back post DC, we are now going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and 2 half double crochets in this little chain space right here. One, 2, chain 2, and 1, 2. Okay, now we are going to work 54 back post DC around each and every one of these next stitches, and I will meet you when we get to the next little chain space. Okay, now that we just finished our row of 54 back post DC, we are now in this next little corner space right here. And in here we're going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2 and 2 half double crochets. Okay, now that we are here, we are going to work 27 back post DC along this short edge right here, and I will see you in this next little chain space here. Okay, we are in our final corner here, and we're going to be working 2 half double crochets, chain 2 and 2 half double crochets. So 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to work a back post DC in each of the next 13 stitches. Okay? Come on, fingers. So go and pause it right now, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, now that we are in this corner, we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work a double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets in this chain space. So 1, and then the chain, and then a double crochet and a double crochet. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the hidden stitch, which is hidden, well, it's because there's the half double crochets right here, so you have it's very easy to get a hidden stitch there. Okay, so you're going to skip the hidden stitch, you're going to skip this first stitch, and you're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so even though you are technically skipping 2 stitches, it's only going to look like you skipped 1 stitch. Okay, now you need to chain 1, and you're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, and you're going to chain 1, and you're going to repeat that 12 more times. Okay, so you're going to end up with 14 double crochets and 14 chain spaces across, and I will meet you when we get to the next little corner spot. Okay, see you there. Okay, now that we just finished our 14 double crochets and 14 chain spaces, chain 1 spaces, we are now going to work our next corner. We are going to skip these 2 stitches right here, and we are going to work 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochets in the next, or in that chain space. Okay, we are now going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the hidden stitch, skip the next 3 stitches, and DC in the next stitch. Okay, I know it looks really weird and awkward, but by doing this, it will also help from that corner crunching in a little bit more, so that does help. Okay, so then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to repeat just like we did over here, but we're going to end up with 27 double crochets and 27 chain 1 spaces. So you're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and DC. Okay, so I'm going to meet you over on this side. Okay, now that we are in this bottom corner here, make sure you chain your one right here, and we're going to work 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochets in this little chain space right here, okay? So 1 DC, 2 DC, chain 2, DC, and a DC, okay? We're going to chain 1. Now we're going to skip the hidden stitch again and skip this next stitch, and we're going to DC in the next stitch, okay? We're going to chain 1, and just like we did before over here, we're going to repeat over here, and we're going to end up with 11 DC and 11 chain spaces, okay? And I will see you when we get to this corner. Okie dokie, now that we just finished our 11 double crochets and our 11 chain spaces, we are now going to work on this corner, where once again we are going to be putting in, oh, don't forget your chain 1 right there. Once again, we're going to be working 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Okay, now don't forget your chain 1. We're going to skip the hidden stitch right here, skip this stitch, and we're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, we're going to chain 1, skip stitch, and DC in the next stitch, just like we've been doing, and we are going to repeat that until we get 27 double crochets and 27 chain spaces, and I will meet you in that with or near that corner. Okay, I'll see you there. Okay, now that we have our 27 double crochets and our 27 chain spaces, we are now on this corner. Don't forget your chain 1, and we are going to skip the next 3 stitches, and we're going to put 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets in that same little chain space there. Okay, now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this hidden stitch, skip this stitch right here, and we're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to keep repeating that all the way to the end, and on this row we're going to end up with 14 double crochets and 14 chain spaces. Okay, so I will see you when we get to this corner. Okie dokie, now that we have our 14 double crochets and our 14 chain spaces, we can move on to this next corner. Don't forget your chain 1 right here. We're going to work once again our 2 double crochets, our chain 2, and 2 double crochets in this chain space. 1, 2, chain 2. That's 1, 2. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this stitch. We're going to put our first DC in this stitch right here. Okay, we're going to chain 1, skip stitch, chain 1, DC, chain 1, skip stitch, DC, and just repeat that till we get 7 double crochets and 7 chain spaces, and I will meet you at the joining of the next corner. Okay, now we are back in this corner right here, and we have, or this top right here, we have our 7 double crochets and our 7 chain spaces. Now we have an extra stitch right here. We're just going to ignore that, and we're just going to chain 1, and we're going to join in the top of our beginning chain right there. Okay? Okay. Okay. So we just ended our last row, where we worked our 7 in the top there. And now, like before, I'm just going to chain 1 and pop into that chain right there, or I can just take that chain 1 and I can just start my row. So right in this chain spot, I'm going to put 5 half double crochets. Okay, now I'm going to put I'm going to skip all the stitches and I'm going to put 2 half double crochets in each one of these stitches until I get to this corner row right here. Okay, so in the next 14 chain spaces, put 2 half double crochets, and I will see you when we get to this corner. Okay, I'm just finishing up my half double crochets in those 14 chain spaces there. So in this corner, I'm going to put 3 HDCs, or 3 half double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Now in each of the next 27 chain spaces right here, I'm going to put 2 half double crochets. Okay, and you do that as well, and I will see you when we get to the next corner. Okay, I am just finishing off that section right there, that long section. You can really see how much more structure it is from where we started when it's just had the thing. It really does make it a little bit more firmer and flatten that out just a bit. I know it's wavy and wavy. I know. Some of that will be working out the more the border rounds, as well as you will need to block this doily. Okay, so now in this corner right here, we're going to work 5 half double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in each of the next 11 chain spaces, we're going to work 2 HDCs, 2 half double crochets. Okay, and I will see you when we get to this corner. Okay, now that we have that row or that section completed, we're going to do the next corner by putting 5 half double crochets in that corner as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to continue to this corner by putting 2 half double crochets in each one of those 27 chain spaces, and I will see you over in that corner. Okie dokie there. Now that I just finished my putting 2 half double crochets in every single one of those last 27 chain spaces, I'm ready to do my next little corner here. And in this corner is going to be 3 HDCs, or half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now over the next 14 chain spaces, we are once again going to work 2 half double crochets in each one, and I will see you when we get to this corner. Okay, I am just finishing up my last half double crochet in this little spot right here. And now in this corner, I'm going to work 5 half double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for our last little section here, we're going to work 2 half double crochets in every single one of those chain spaces, just like we did before, and we are going to join with a slip stitch into the first half double crochet that we made. Okay, so I'll see you over here in the corner. Okie dokie. Now we just finished our last rows of half double crochets, and I'm going to join into the first open stitch that I find. The first one's going to be hidden, so you want to go into the next one. Okay, and now this round is going to differ from my other pattern, or the written pattern, because we messed with that first round down here. Let me grab my pattern real quick because it has a great photo of what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to make sure I zoom in, and I'm not going to pause this round like I was in the past, because it's a little more involved. So you feel free to pause at any time and catch up if I do go too fast, because once again, I am a fast crocheter. Okay, so in this picture, you can see that I'm going to be working where the red dots are. Those are all the back post DCs. Okay, and so you can see where I put those are all around the round 4. Okay, and on top in round 5, I'm going to be working my DC on top. Okay, so we're going to be working in both round 4 and round 5. Okay, so there are great pictures of this in the printed pattern, and I am going to zoom in right here, but if you notice that the stitches are lined up. Okay, now in the printed pattern, some of the stitches aren't lined up because, once again, we messed with it here and made it easier and more streamlined. And so the pattern works. Follow the pattern, follow the written, follow the pictures, follow the red dots. Okay, but you can see that everything's lined up. Okay, so I'm going to start on this one with you, and hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so get ready to zoom. Okay, so now that we're in the same spot where we joined, we're going to chain 3. We're going to double crochet in that same spot. We're going to put a single DC in this next stitch, and we're going to be working 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So 1, 2. Okay, we're now going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to put a back post DC around this stitch right here. Okay, so we're going to skip the first one, put it around the second one. Okay, now in the pattern I write to chain 3 right here, I've been chaining 2, and I find it keeps it a little tighter. Okay, so you can work 3 or 2, it's up to you, but I'm gonna work 2. So work 2 with me if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to skip the next DC of round 4, and I'm going to put a back post DC around the next one. Okay, now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one is different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess not. I'm going to skip 7 stitches. If you want to count, I'm going to be skipping 7 stitches of round 5. Or you can just simply DC right above the next, so you can see where it lines up right there. Okay? Then I'm going to work 4 more double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see how that lines up with those stitches in that block. Okay, I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the skipping those 3 DCs of round 4, I'm going to back post DC around the next stitch. I'm going to chain 2, skip the next DC of round, sorry, I said 6, I meant 4. So we're going to skip the next DC of round 4, and we're going to put a back post DC around the next one. Okay, going to chain 5, skipping these 7 stitches, or if you just want to look at it as we're going to put a DC right above the next one so it lines up right there. Then we're going to do 4 more DC. We're going to chain 5. And we're going to skip those 3 DCs of round 4. We're going to put a back post DC around the next. Okay, so you can see once again it just lines up. Okay, going to chain 2, skip the next stitch of round 4 or DC of round 4, put a back post DC around the next DC of round 4. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip the next 7 stitches right here. Okay, and we're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, continuing in this corner, we're going to put a single double crochet in the next stitch and then work 2 more DC in the next stitch. We're going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip all these 4 DC of this row. We're going to put a back post DC around this one. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next DC of round 4, put a back post around the next one. Going to chain 5. We're going to once again line it up again. If you want to think of it this way, we're going to skip 7 or line it up and just put a DC right above that, followed by 4 more double crochets. Going to chain 5. We're going to skip those, drop my loop. We're going to skip the next 3 DC of round 4, put a half double crochet around the next. Oop, didn't work out very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Helps sometimes if you grab that right by the base of that chain. That way it pulls a little snug so you don't loosen it up and lose and drop it. Okay, now we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next DC and back post around the next one. Chain 5. Once again, we're going to line up that DC with that stitch right there. We're going to follow it by 4 more double crochets. Chain 5. We're going to skip those next 3 right here, 1, 2, 3. We're going to back post around the next one. chain 2, skip the stitch, back post around the next one, chain 5, line it up and back and put a DC right above that next one. Okay, see, you can see that my DCs line up. Okay, gonna chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna skip those 3 stitches, and we're gonna just keep doing that till we get to the end right there. Okay, it's a very repetitive row. It's just working in 2 rows simultaneously kind of throw people off. And it's one of the reasons why I kind of simplified it. And once again, I'm going to say, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have done it like this. But since I do have the Spanish version out and I adapted it after I had the Spanish version, I don't want to change the written patterns, because I do know that the written patterns do work. Okay, so the video just shows a more simplified version of it, which I don't think any of you will mind. No, not one bit. Okay, so we're going to finish off that section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now before we do the corner, let's count right here. So we have our first corner, we have 2 blocks of 5, we have our next corner, and we have 4 blocks of the 5. Okay, so now we're going to be working in the next corner. Let's see, I don't know how many we're skipping there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to skip 8 stitches this time. So if you want to count right here, you start counting after your last double crochet in your round 5. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so then this 9th one right here is where we're going to put our first two double crochets. 1, 2. So if you also want to look at it as you're not going to line up with this DC, you're going to go just to the left of it. Okay, so it's not lined up here, it's just to the left of it. Now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. We're going to chain 5. Now this round is a little weird. This one I have not deviated from the pattern, so let me go and get the photo real quick, because that way it'll help. I find it's going to be easier if I just show you like this instead of that. Okay. Because we don't have enough rounds, some of these are going to be a little iffy. Okay, we're going to be skipping 2 underneath our 5, and it's going to be off center. Okay, so let you look at that for just a little bit and get oriented with it. So we're going to put our back post stitches, we're going to do those the same way, but our 5 count above in round 5 is just going to be a little different. Okay, back to zoom in. So now we're going to put our first back post DC around the second DC of this round. So we're going to skip this one, put it around this one. Okay, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next DC of round 4 and work a back post DC around the next one. Got chain 5. And now I'm going to, instead of lining it up right here, I'm going to put it to the stitch just to the right of that. Okay, so not here, but here. So in other words, from my last DC, I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm skipping 6 stitches. I'm going to be putting a single or just 1 double crochet in that spot. In the next spot, I'm going to work 2 double crochets. Okay, and then in each one of the next 2 stitches, I'm going to be working 1 double crochet. 1, 2, and I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this time, instead of skipping 3, take my hook out so it's easier. So instead of skipping 3 double crochets here, like we did over here, we're going to just skip 2. Okay? Because now you can see that this one, this side doesn't line up, but this side does. Okay? I'm all twisted as I want to be. Okay, so we're going to skip these 2 DCs. We're going to put a back post double crochet around the next DC, and we're going to work this section the same as we've been working it. So we're going to chain 2, skip this next double crochet, and back post around this next one. Okay, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to put our next double crochet, we're going to skip 7 stitches. We're going to put our first double crochet right above and line that up once again with the double crochet below it. Okay? So now in the next stitch, we're going to just do a single double crochet. The next one, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, then we're going to work a single double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip the next 2 DC, and we're going to put a back post double crochet around the next one. Chain 2, skip the next double crochet of round 4, and put a back post double crochet around the next one. The first one of the 2s, you want it right here. Okay, now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me get my count here real quick so you can count if you would like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to be skipping 5 stitches this time on top. Okay. We're going to be putting 2 double crochets in the next stitch. If I don't drop my stitch here. 1, 2. Okay, let's zoom back out. Let's look what we just did real quick. Okay, so you can see that it is the same on both sides, or almost the same on both sides, because I think this count's a little different. 1, 2, yeah, the count's a little different that you skipped right here, but the look is there. If you've ever noticed that some of my patterns, the count is different from one side to the other, it's because we have a crocheting brain, but then we also have what we see. So some of my crocheting is almost like an illusion. So you're not crocheting by the right numbers, you're crocheting by what your eyes will find it to be correct. Okay? So now we're going to finish off this corner. We're going to double crochet just a single one in the middle right there, or next to it. We're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Going to chain 5. And we're going to skip these next 2 DC of this round. We're going to put a back post around this stitch right here. Chain 2. We're going to skip the next stitch, put a back post around the next one. Chain 5. Line up our DC again. Put a double crochet there, followed by 4 more. Chain 5. Skip those 3 DC, back post around the next one. Chain 2, skip the next DC of round 4, back post around the next one. Chain 5, line up our next double crochet, adding 4 more behind that. Chain 5, skip those 3 DC and back post DC around the next one. Chain 2, skip the next double crochet, back post around the next one. Chain 5. Remember, you're skipping 7 stitches and you're lining up your double crochet with the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Going to chain 5. Going to skip those 3 stitches right there and back post DC around the next one. Chain 2, skip the DC, back post around the next one. Chain 5. Remember, you're skipping the 7 stitches. Line your stitch up right here. Put your 5 double crochets in there. Chain 5. Skip those 3 stitches, back post around the next one. Chain 2, skip the next double crochet and back post around the next one. Chain 5. Now we're going to be skipping, I believe it's 7 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches there. We're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch, which then that lines up right above the second double crochet right there. Okay, so it lines right up there. Put a double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the next one. Okay, going to chain 5. We're going to skip the next stitches right here. We're going to put a back post DC around the next one. Chain 2, skip the next stitch right here, put a back post around this one. Chain 5. Once again, line it up, put your double crochet right on top of there and add 4 more behind that. Chain 5. We're going to skip those 3 DC right there, put a back poster on the next one. Chain 2. Skip this DC, put a back poster on the next one. Chain 5. Put your DC right above that. Remember, you're skipping 7 right there, 7 stitches of round 5. Okay, we're going to chain 5. We're going to skip those 3 stitches of round 4, put another back poster on the next one, chain 2. We're going to skip this double crochet right here, or this DC right here. We're going to put our back post around the next one. So the first one of these 2, we're going to put it right here. Going to chain 5. And I believe it's that we're skipping 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, we're skipping 6. 6 stitches we're skipping right there. We're going to be putting 2 DC in this next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, going to chain 5. We're going to skip this first one right here and put a back post behind or around the second one. Chain 2. Going to skip this next stitch, put a back post around the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're now going to line up our stitch one more time. Put 4 more behind that. Going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip those 3 stitches. We're going to put a back poster on the next one. Chain 2. We're going to skip the next double crochet right there, and we're going to put one right around here. This one just happens to be the beginning chain of round 4. Okay, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can slip stitch in there and then chain 1. Another one of my little cheat tricks is I'm going to join with a single crochet at the top of this beginning chain right here, okay? Now I have my first single crochet already made. So now that we have our single crochet, we're going to chain 5. We're going to single crochet, we're going to skip the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, we're going to skip the next 3 stitches and single crochet in the next stitch, okay? In this round, which, what are we on, round 7 I think we are on, trying to stay relevant with the rounds. Okay, so in this round right here, which is round 7, you are basically doing the same thing all the way around, okay? There's no differences in any of the 6 corners. It's all going to be the same thing. So I'm going to show you the first couple sections, okay? Or the first, I just showed you this one, and I'll show you up to here. And then I'm going to put that pause button up, and you will be able to work at your own pace and I will catch up to you when you are ready to unpause when you are at this one point, okay? So let's work on this a bit, and then I'll pop on that pause button for you. Okay, I'm going to zoom in again. Okay, so now that we have our single crochet, remember we didn't do a regular joining and then chain one, and we didn't, why bother? If you don't have to, don't do it. So we put a single crochet there, we joined with our single crochet, I chained 5, skipped 3 stitches, put a single crochet in the next stitch, okay? So now down here along this chain right here, we're going to work 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to give you 2 options. In this one right here, in the pattern, and what I do is I work a chain 3, or I work a single crochet, a chain 3, and then a single crochet in the top of that last stitch made. I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to show you the alternative if you don't want to do that, okay? It's not going to look quite the same, but it will work. However, we will be using that single crochet, chain 3, and single crocheting in that same, on top of that same stitch. We're going to be using that on the last round. So this will be a great practice round for you, okay? So in this chain space right here, we're going to work a single crochet, a chain 3, and then I single crochet in top of that stitch right there, okay? And then I put a single crochet right next to that, okay? And it gives you a different looking picket, okay? Now, if you don't want to do that, you can. Here's the alternative. You can just chain 1, or put a single crochet in there, chain 2, and put a single crochet in there. You can chain 2 or 3, depending on how you want your picket to look, okay? And then you do your 5 going up. It's not going to, as you can see, it doesn't give you the same look, okay? So I'm going to go with my little original, which is single crochet, chain 3, and then I kind of don't go in the top of it. You can. I kind of go in the side of it. But we'll go to the top, and then single crochet right there, okay? It just gives you a nice little poof, okay? Nice little picket. Now we're going to be working 5 double crochets, or 5 single crochets right in this space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to put a single crochet in this next stitch, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip the next 3 stitches, single crochet in the next one. I'm going to show you one more time before I put up that pause button. I'm going to do 5 single crochets in that next chain space. I'm going to put a single crochet in the next chain space, chain 3, wiggle your hook in there, okay? That's how you do the top, putting the single crochet in the top. If you can't find that, just put it around it, because you'll have like this little gap right here because of that stitch. You can just put your single crochet right around that and finish it off, okay? Gives you basically the same look, okay? So now I'm going to put that pause button on, and I will meet you all the way around here, because you're just going to be repeating, okay? I'll see you on this side. Okie dokie here. I am on my last set of 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you can either join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made right here, or just skip it and slip stitch into that top one. You're gonna do it anyways. So now we're gonna work on round 8, which once again, just like round 7, it's a repeat all the way around. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the first couple, and then I'm gonna put up the pause button, and you can crochet all the way around, but I want you to stop when you get to the middle of the head right here. Okay, so I want you to stop right here. Okay, after, when you're ready to unpause, stop right here. Okay, so let's get started on this one, because the joining, I want you to stop right here because there's a different way I join from this point to this point, so that way you can start the last row easier. Okay, so let's begin round 8, where if you haven't slip stitched into this chain space yet, go right ahead and do so. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and the pattern is written where you're supposed to put 10 double crochets in there. I put 9. Another one of my streamlining, if I knew then what I knew now things, okay? So, but the pattern works. Follow the pattern if you have that. And yeah, and there's lots of pictures as well, just like always. But the video, once again, is going to differ from the pattern. I kind of streamlined it, okay? So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So now I'm going to crochet 8 more double crochets in this chain space. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, I lost count. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a double crochet into this top stitch right here. Okay, see where my hook is? I'm going to yarn over, put my hook into there, and put a double crochet in there. Okay, and that's going to form just a little loop. Okay, I do this a lot in my patterns. We're going to do that one more time. Going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put a double crochet right in top of there again. Okay, so this gives us 2 little bumpy bumps. Now directly from there, we're going to put 9 double crochets in this next loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Before I put that pause button up, I'm going to show you one more time how to make those little bumps right there. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a double crochet in top of that last stitch made. Going to chain 3 and put a double crochet in top of that last stitch we made right there. Okay, now we're going to put 9 DC right there, and we're going to continue doing this all the way around. And after you put your 9 double crochet in this one, I want you to unpause and we will do the joining together. Okay, so I will see you when you've put your last 9 stitches right in there. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Okie dokie, I'm just finishing up my last little section here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now you know why I tell you to pause. Because I can do this pretty quick. Okay, so now we're going to do our joining. Okay, it's going to look like these, but it's going to be done a little different. Okay, so now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a DC top of that stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, but instead of putting a double crochet on that next stitch, we're going to skip all this and put a slip stitch in top of that beginning chain right there. Okay, this is another spot that trips people up. So now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to flip it over to the wrong side. Flip. Okay, this is the back side. And now I'm going to go into this little, remember it's a loop, okay? It's a loop that we create. I'm going to put, I got a pesky cat. I'm going to put a slip stitch right in there, okay? So we did our chain 3, DC on top of that one, on that last stitch, chain 3, join with a slip stitch in top of the beginning chain, chain 3, flip it to the wrong side, and we're not doing nothing with this chain. We're going to slip stitch right into this little loop area right here, okay? Slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 1, okay? So that's the special joining. I'm going to do that one more time, just in case. Let me frog. Okay, so I chained 3, okay? Just show you where I'm at again. Chain 3, double crochet in top of the last stitch made, chain 3, gonna slip stitch in top of the beginning chain, chain 3, flip to wrong side, slip stitch in that little loop, okay, chain 1, and now we're going to flip to the front again, okay, and that is the weird stitch joining right there, okay. Now we are going to move on to the last row, okay, and once again I'm going to start you off, and then I'm going to put that pause button on and work all the way around. Actually, I don't need to put the pause button on because I have my finished item. So I will be able to start you off, and you can end it right there if you wanted to. But I'll probably put the pause button up and meet you around and show you about the joining, okay? So otherwise you're just joining into your first stitch made of the round, okay? Which I'm going to show you right now. Make sure I'm recording since I didn't record part of it and had to start over. Okay, now that we've flipped back to the right side, you can tell we're on the right side because of our beautiful back post stitches that created a nice little double ridge bump right here, okay? So now we're going to put a single crochet in this loop that we just made, okay? So put a single crochet right there. We're going to chain 1, we're going to triple stitch, we're going to get ready for a triple stitch. We're going to skip the first DC right here and skip the second one, and we're going to put a triple crochet in the third. Okay, we're going to chain one, and we're going to work a 3D cluster around this stitch right here, around the side of it. Okay, going to pull through all those loops. And we're going to chain 3. We're going to put our hook in those stitches. It's easier just to put 3 in. If you want to try to get that 4th one, it's okay. Just put 3, okay? So you're going to chain 3, put your hook in there, and single crochet. Okay? And you're going to make a little picket. Now we're going to triple crochet into the next stitch. We're going to chain 1, work a triple or a 3 DC cluster around the triple crochet. Okay, 2, 3. Going to put our hook into those stitches. I recommend putting it into at least 3 because it looks nicer. Okay. If you want to get that 4th one, go right ahead and single crochet in there. Okay, we're going to repeat that till we have 5 triples in there. Okay, hang with me because you'll be able to pause this. I did as slow as I could at the beginning, and now I'm just working up fast so that way I can show you the next little part. Okay, now I have 4 of those triples with the 3DC cluster and the little picket in between. I have 4 sets of those. Now I'm going to triple crochet in the next stitch again. Okay, chain 1, going to work our triple DC cluster. Okay, pull through. This time, once again, we're going to deviate from the printed pattern. I was doing a picket. Was I doing a picket there? No, I don't think I was. No. I was just doing it 4 times. Yay, I'm not going to deviate from the pattern. So, the first 4 triples, okay, you're going to put the 3D cluster around it and the picket. On your 5th one, you are only doing the cluster stitch, okay? I do close that with a single crochet or a little chain. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and inside this loop, you want to do a single crochet, and then in the next little loop you do a single crochet. Okay, so this gives you that little person hanging out there with a nice little headdress. Okay, let's do that one more time. So after that single crochet, you chain 1, get ready for your triple stitch, you skip first stitch, you skip the second stitch, you put a triple crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, work your 3 DC cluster around the side of that triple crochet. Chain 3, single crochet in top of that stitch, triple crochet in the next stitch right next to your first triple crochet. Chain 1, work your cluster stitch, chain 3, single crochet in the top of it, triple crochet in the next stitch, I'm going to move a little faster real quick so we can do the other part one more time before I set you free. Okay. Nope, I only did 2 right there. 1, 2, 3. Remember now you have the 4 with the 3D cluster and the pickets. Okay, and your 5th one, you're not going to do that picket. Okay, you are going to close it with a single crochet though. I mean, not a single crochet. You're going to close it with a slip stitch. Then you're going to skip the next stitch, skip the next stitch, put a single crochet in that little loop there, and then a single crochet in the next loop there. Okay? And you're going to work that all the way around, and you're going to join with a slip stitch in that first single crochet right there. Okay? And then you're going to fasten off, and you're going to tuck in your ends. And then this will need to be blocked. Let me pull the other one real quick. I don't think I'm going to put the pause button on because you can literally just go right around there. But you can see this is where I did my ending right here, and then I tucked it in. I went over here, tucked it in, went down, and I looped back on myself, and I brought it over here. So the end of my tail is somewhere in this area, okay? Or it's down here. It just depends how I feel that day. So as you can see, it's going to need blocking. It's not too bad, but I hope you had fun with me today. Please like and share, and don't forget to subscribe because I will be doing more crochet alongs. And make sure that you write down your timestamps if you do pause and step away, because you never know if YouTube is going to restart the video or say that you watched the whole thing, which I don't mind if you keep watching it over and over and over again. I appreciate that. So pick up the pattern. And please note that the pattern is a little different because we did a little different right here. I did streamline it. And so you can always take your streamline notes and apply it to your printed pattern. If you just want to support me, but you don't want to, if you can't really read a pattern, but you do want to support me, just go over there and buy the pattern. You know, keep it in your records because maybe one day you will be able to read the pattern. If you are not one of the pattern type readers, you're more of a visual learner. Or if you want to support me by getting one of my coffee mugs, or I have sticker sets and other things like that. Also, you can go into my link tree down below and just buy me a cup of coffee because I like coffee. Coffee is good. My coffee cup's empty right now. It's been a long day with you all. So, with that, I hope that you had, let me turn this so you can see it a little bit better. So with that, I hope that you enjoyed yourself. If you want to show me your finished piece, show me your colors, or how you used it to decorate or anything like that, in my link tree, I link down below, you will see all my different social media sites. The best places to show off your work to me is either tag me in it on TikTok or Instagram, or you can also message me on any of those ones. And also my Facebook art page is listed below. You can even message me on Etsy just to post a picture and show me. That would be fun too. I love seeing other people's work. So if you do my doily, or if you have a really cool piece and you just want to show me, message me. I love seeing that because I'm so focused on my own work. I live vicariously through others. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.